Hello, and welcome back to the show. Things are definitely slowing down compared to the craziness that took place after the Oscars, but there's still a lot happening in Hollywood, as always. So grab your coffee and get ready because we are jumping right into everything that went on in Hollywood last week. Here's what you missed. Unlike last week, this week we have quite a bit of relationship news. Everyone is talking about the 2 a.m. wedding that took place in Vegas with only 3 attendees, and those were Travis Barker, Kourtney Kardashian, and an Elvis impersonator. The couple snuck away to get married right after the award ceremony, both wearing leather jackets and being bound by a fake tanned Elvis. Just 6 months after getting engaged, Kourtney shared a photo on Instagram with the caption, quote, "Found these in my camera roll once upon a time in a faraway land, Vegas, at 2 a.m. after an epic night and a little tequila, a queen and her handsome king ventured out to the only open chapel with an Elvis and got married with no license," unquote. But like she said, they didn't get a license, meaning that they're not yet legally married. In a recent interview, she shared that this was not the plan. Actually, they wanted to get married, but apparently not everything in Vegas is open 24 hours, despite what we all think. And they were told to come back the next morning at 8 a.m. if they wanted their license. I guess the moment passed because they obviously didn't go back for it, and because of this, combined with their massive fame, they're definitely going to still have a wedding, a very big one down the road. Also taking a big step in their relationship is Kourtney's sister Kim and her new man Pete Davidson. Reports say that she's recently traveled to Staten Island to meet his mom, and he apparently recently met her kids, despite the text from Kanye saying he'll never do so. Sources say he was introduced as, quote, "mommy's friend," but North has social media, so I'm sure she knows what's up. It seems that this made Kim fall even harder for Pete after seeing the way he was with her kids. She said that he made them laugh. And if you've seen King of Staten Island, then you get it. We all fell in love with him after watching him interact with those kids in the film. And maybe this is part of the reason why Kanye is back in the headlines, which we'll get to in one moment. But before we do, there are some other shocking relationship headlines, like finding out right after he won his Grammy, Jon Batiste is married. He and his partner have been together for quite some time and got married in secret in February, right after she got a bone marrow transplant. She's now battling leukemia for a second time and shared that they had a tiny yet beautiful ceremony, saying they didn't have wedding bands but instead had bread ties. Because her cancer is so aggressive at this stage, she was unable to attend the award ceremony with him but watched from the hospital. And I have an article linked in my show notes for the Hollywood Reporter article that I used for this, but a quote that they said really almost made me cry. She said, quote, "He just said to me, I just want to be very clear. I'm not proposing to you because of this diagnosis. It's taken me a year to design your ring. So just know this timing has nothing to do with it. But what I do want you to know is that this diagnosis doesn't change anything. It makes it all the clearer to me that I want to commit to this and to us to be together. But once we realized we had this tiny window before the bone marrow transplant, we decided to go for it," she says. Ugh, I love love. Congrats on the win and on the marriage. Also, big news for elder emo Avril Lavigne and Maud's son, who got engaged this past week in Paris. They've been together for a little over a year, and he proposed right in front of the Eiffel Tower. Yes, of course, the photos are amazing. Her ring is huge and heart-shaped, and they were both in black. How very grunge of them. Unfortunately, it's not all rainbows and sunshine and celebrity romance. We know. At the height of his career following Spider-Man and Tick, Tick, Boom, Andrew Garfield and Alyssa Miller have split after a year together. Sources say that it was the distance that got to them, which we often hear in these Hollywood relationships. And yeah, it stinks, but it does put him back on the market, which I'm sure tons of fans are pleased about. There is good news too. Babies. Shia LaBeouf and Mia Goth, who were married in 2016, divorced in 2018, and recently got back together, have officially welcomed their first child. We only know this because they were photographed pushing a stroller with a baby in it, but we don't know the name, gender, or even when the baby was born. But still, it's great news. Moving into TV, movies, and music, a lot is popping off. Anyone born in the 90s or early 2000s will be stoked to hear that Marcel the Shell with Shoes is getting his own movie. My younger listeners might not know who this is, but the iconic Shy Shell has filled our hearts and minds with joy, and he is now leaving his short films behind for a full-length feature put on by A24. So you already know that it's going to be amazing. If you want to watch the trailer, you can do so in my show notes. Also making his acting return is actor Shaun Weiss, who we know from Mighty Ducks. After 14 years away and a gnarly battle with meth, the actor has cleaned himself up, landed his newest role, and the movie is put on by Lionsgate. It's Jesus Revolution, and this really shows that people can get knocked down and get back up, even in Hollywood. Okay, the rest of these are oddly Kardashian related, and you know that I didn't mean to do that, but I can't help it. They're basically the only thing that happens in Hollywood now. After all the headlines of Caitlyn Jenner have slowed down, they're ramping right back up. And here's why. Because she's set to reappear on TV, this time as a Fox News contributor. Pulling a quote from Deadline, Fox News Media CEO Suzanne Scott said in a statement, Caitlyn's story is an inspiration to us all. She's a trailblazer in the LGBTQ plus community, and her career spans a variety of fields that will be tremendous assets to our audience. And Jenner said in a statement, I'm humbled by this unique opportunity to speak directly to Fox News Media's millions of viewers about a range of issues that are important to the American people. Unquote. So this should be interesting, definitely. Also interesting is the news that Kanye West has officially pulled out of headlining Coachella, and this is just days before he was set to start. Sources say he pulled out because he was going away to get help following the drama surrounding his very public divorce. Replacing him is The Weeknd and Swedish House Mafia. Fans are excited about this new lineup, but The Weeknd is saying that he expects to be paid the exact same as Kanye, which was a whopping $8.5 million for the two-weekend performance. And it's not confirmed yet if the festival has agreed to do this, but it's likely because they've already announced that this is who's going to be replacing Kanye. And while Kanye goes away to work on himself, his ex, Julia Fox, has rumors swirling about her potentially joining Real Housewives of New York, as they're getting a new lineup. Bravo's trying to revive the franchise by giving it a whole new cast, but Julia's denied that she's had any contact with them about this. But isn't that how this always kind of starts? It's like Housewives fans manifest who they want the cast to be, and then the rumors get so big that the network has to listen. And finally, Bravo had to cancel another one of its most popular shows, Shahs of Sunset. After 9 seasons, the show has been put on indefinite pause. And the news comes this week after it was revealed that one of the main cast members, Mike, was arrested on domestic violence charges. We don't know much about Mike's charges, as the person whom is connected to them has not yet been named. However, documents support that it was a quote intimate partner who we know, fans know, as Paula, his fiance. And though her name hasn't been revealed yet, and what transpired actually remains a mystery still, we know that whatever took place caused visible injury to her. It's not clear what type of sentencing he'll be facing, but it's hard to believe that this didn't impact the show's ending. Probably the straw that broke the camel's back, if I'd had to take a guess. And while news like that is really hard to digest, I'll leave you with some great news. This week, Ketanji Brown Jackson became the first ever Black woman in the U.S. Supreme Court. She'll be replacing Justice Stephen Breyer and won the vote 53 to 47. Watching her hearing was actually a bit gut-wrenching, as many of the questions were ridiculous and clearly targeted, but she triumphed, and Jackson will be the first public defender to serve in high court. She also served in the U.S. Sentencing Commission, an agency tasked by Congress with settling sentencing guidelines for federal judges. She was nominated by the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia by President Barack Obama in 2012, elevated by Biden to the U.S. Court of Appeals, which is amazing. It's amazing news. And to read more about it and find where I got this quote, please go to the show notes. This is a big moment in history for us. And that's it for this week's headlines. Don't forget you can read more details on each by clicking the link in my show notes. If you see any headlines you want covered or have thoughts on this week's, DM me on Instagram at MeganTheMorningPodcast, and I will be back next week to catch you up on the latest Pop Culture News.